Jim Fragosi's lineup for Game 6 has Lenny Dykstra leading off in center field. Mariano Duncan is DHing tonight and batting second. John Kruk at first base hits third. The cleanup hitter is third baseman Dave Hollins. Darren Dalton is the catcher batting fifth. Batting sixth in right field, Jim Eisenreich. The left fielder, Milt Thompson, bats seventh. Kevin Stocker is the shortstop hitting eighth. And the second baseman making his first start of the series, Mickey Morandini, hits ninth.
And making his second start of the series is Dave Stewart. He lost last Sunday night to the Phillies. He gave up that 5-run third inning, the big blow in that inning, the 3-run homer by Jim Eisenreich. Dave Stewart has lost 3 straight World Series games, games 1 and 4 in the 1990 series. Oakland against Cincinnati. As a matter of fact, Jose Rijo beat him both games. So he has lost 3 straight World Series games.
Stewart is ready to go, and Lenny Dykstra will step in to get Game 6 underway. He's 7 for 20 in the World Series with 3 home runs, 2 of those in Game 4. The game in which he drove in 4 runs and scored 4 times. If the Blue Jays win tonight, they will have defended their World Championship. First pitch by Stewart, a called strike. And in contrast to the first 2 games, the crowd here at Sky Dome seems to be into it from the first pitch. Of course, last year, Toronto won the World Series title on the road, winning Game 6 in Atlanta. Strike 2, says the home plate umpire Dana DeMuth. And that pitch clocked at 92 miles per hour for Stewart. The 0-2 pitch. Breaking ball, and he struck him out. Dykstra gone on 3 pitches. And let's check in with Jim Gray.
All right, thank you, Sean. I spoke with Dave Stewart, and he was not unhappy with his pitching performance in Game 2. He was only unhappy with the third inning in which he gave up 5 runs. Now, I spoke to Stewart, and he's still going to try the same approach, throw a lot of first strike pitches. But then if he can get ahead in the count, I think you're going to see him try and find his spot and be a lot more picky. And I think you'll see Dave Stewart throwing quite a few more breaking balls as the game goes on. Sean?
Thank you, Jim. Stewart's first pitch to Mariano Duncan is the first ball thrown by Stewart tonight. Duncan DHing for the first time ever. Mariano said he never did it in the minors, nor has he done it as a major leaguer. But Jim Fregosi wants his bat in the lineup because he has been productive offensively while playing second base in this series.
To reinforce what Jim Gray was talking about, Jim Fregosi talks about how hitters must be patient with balls in the strike zone, swinging strikes. When pitchers get ahead, they've got to be patient with balls out of the strike zone and try to expand the strike zone, and that's what Stewart appears to be doing with the Phillies. Get ahead, and now you'll probably see him go away with the breaking ball out of the strike zone to Duncan.
There's been so much talk in this series about the Phillies' patience that they go up there taking pitches to make the Blue Jay pitchers throw strikes, but Stewart didn't think that was a factor in Game 2 as 1-2 to Duncan. He did go low and away, and Mariano laid off the breaking ball. Stewart said his high pitch count, 123 pitches over 6 innings in Game 2, was more a product of the Phillies hitters fouling off so many pitches. Stewart walked 4 in 6 innings in Game 2. Duncan to right and dropping fast. Joe Carter makes the running catch.
The defense for the Blue Jays, Ricky Henderson in left field, Devon White in center. You saw Joe Carter make that nice running catch in right. Ed Sprague at third base. Tony Fernandez at shortstop. Roberto Alomar at second base. John Olerud at first, and Pat Borders behind the plate.
And John Kruk is at the plate. Hitting .400 for the series, but he has just 1 hit in his last 9 at bats. Kruk took ball 1 outside. 2 outs and the base is empty. No score in the top of the first. 36-year-old Dave Stewart. He said yesterday at the press conference that next season will be his last as a major leaguer. This is his first year with Toronto, as the first year of a 2-year contract. He signed as a free agent for 2 years, $8.5 million with the Blue Jays prior to this year. Cito Gaston sounded hopeful when we talked to him before the game tonight that if Stewart has a good year next year, the Blue Jays might be able to convince him to continue on. With a 2-1. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Dana DeMuth in his 10th year as a National League umpire in his first World Series behind the plate. Dave Phillips at first. Paul Runge at second. Mark Johnson at third. Charlie Williams along the left field line, and Tim McClelland in right, the umpires who have worked this series. Stewart's 2-2, up and away. And the count is full on Kruk. Should he reach, Dave Hollins would bat next. The payoff pitch. Ball 4. Stewart missed up and away. And Kruk, with his bad back, is aboard at first with 2 outs. And Dave Hollins digs in. 5 for 18 in the World Series, but just 1 RBI for the Phillies cleanup hitter. That was in game 2. He singled off Dave Stewart during the 5-run 3rd inning for his only RBI. Ball 1 outside. A strike on the corner. 1-1 on Hollins.
You see Stewart working away from Dave Hollins. That's probably why Olerud's holding Kruk on at first base. There is a big hole, however, on the right side, even though Alomar is playing Hollins straight away.
2 balls and a strike. Picking up Hollins, one of the many fine moves made by Phillies general manager Lee Thomas. Hollins was left unprotected by San Diego, scooped up by the Phillies back in '89 in the Rule 5 draft. That's out of play. 2-2.
For those of you who may not know what the Rule 5 draft is, each organization can protect 40 players, 25 of the regular roster and 15 more, and all others are eligible to be drafted for the draft price of $50,000.
And the team that drafts away a player has to keep him on the major league roster for the entire season. Hollins pulled 1 foul. The Toronto Blue Jays have done an excellent job over the years in stealing good players away via the Rule 5 draft. They took a guy named George Bell from the Phillies once upon a time. Kelly Gruber, another productive Blue Jay player, taken away in the Rule 5 draft.
From Cleveland.
No score, 2 outs. Kruk at first. In the top of the first. Count of 2-2 on Hollins.
I guess the most famous Rule 5 draftee, Roberto Clemente, drafted from the Dodgers by the Pittsburgh Pirates back in the early 50s.
In the air in shallow right. Carter charging hard. Alomar way out, and Carter makes the catch. After a half inning at Skydome, the Phillies nothing and the Blue Jays coming up. The lineup for Cito Gaston and the Toronto Blue Jays tonight. Ricky Henderson leads off in left field. Devon White batting second in center field. Paul Molitor back to his DH role in the American League home park, batting third. Joe Carter is the cleanup hitter in right field. John Olerud at first base. Roberto Alomar bats sixth at second base. The shortstop, Tony Fernandez, bats seventh. Ed Sprague, the third baseman, hits eighth, and the catcher, Pat Borders, swings ninth.
The defense for the Phillies: Milt Thompson in left field, Lenny Dykstra in center, and Jim Eisenreich in right. Dave Hollins at third base, Kevin Stocker at short, Mickey Morandini at second base tonight. He's a better fielder than Duncan. John Kruk at first base, Darren Daulton behind the plate, And Terry Mulholland is vying to become the first Phillies pitcher, make that the second Phillies pitcher to win 2 World Series games. Steve Carlton did it back in 1980. He won games 2 and 6 against the Kansas City Royals, and that was the only World Series the Phillies have ever won.
No score as the Blue Jays bat for the first time tonight, and Ricky Henderson strides to the plate. He's hitting .278 with no homers and 2 runs batted in. He has only 1 stolen base through the first 5 games. Mulholland, a 30-year-old left-hander from Uniontown, Pennsylvania, with his first pitch of the night, up and away to Henderson. Game 5 was the first game in which Ricky failed to reach base, leading off the first inning for Toronto. To center field, and Dykstra, 1 out. Of course, just about all of the Blue Jay hitters had a tough time reaching base in Game 5 against Curt Schilling, who threw a 5-hit shutout. What a difference 24 hours made for Henderson, White, Carter, and Fernandez. They hit .500 combined in Game 4 and collectively went 0 for 13 in Game 5. Ron White was 0 for 3 in Game 5, dropping his average for the World Series to .350. He still looms as one of the leading candidates to be the MVP in the World Series. Breaking ball low. White for ball 1. Mulholland with the interesting delivery. Does a very good job of hiding the ball. Joe Carter says he hides the ball as well as any pitcher the Blue Jays have faced this year. Jim Fregosi told us he learned that delivery from his father.
Ball coming out of the glove. He is very, very difficult to pick up. Usually when the body of the pitcher goes forward, the hitter has a tendency to have his body go forward. It's all a timing device, and often the ball isn't there. He's not a hard thrower. He'll throw the slider in on the hands and the sinker away to the right-handers.
They just walked White. They wanted to appeal down to first. Dave Phillips isn't looking at Dana DeMuth, doesn't realize they still won the appeal. And they're still pointing down at Dave. Apparently, since Dave didn't even think an appeal was a possibility, it's going to remain ball 4. And here's Paul Molitor, another leading contender for MVP honors with his .421 average. White at first. He's stolen 1 base in his only attempt. Blue Jays as a team have stolen 7 in the World Series. They've been thrown out 4 times trying to steal. Bear in mind that Mulholland has an outstanding move to first.
Only 1 player in the National League stole a base against Mulholland this year, and none against the Mulholland-Dalton tandem. Darren Lewis of the San Francisco Giants stole second back on April 26th, and that is it. He allowed only 2 last year.
Molitor to right center, well hit. Eisenreich on the run, looking up, it's off the wall. White speeding toward third. He'll come around to score. Molitor into third with a triple. And the Blue Jays lead 1-0.
Molitor showing tremendous power the other way. Puts a charge in this one to right center. And the ball hits the defense, and with that much hang time, that not only allows White to score, but it allows Molitor to go to third, his second triple and 5th extra base hit of the series. So he not only drives in one, he's in a good position now to score at third base with less than 2 outs.
Carter, high fly ball to left. Thompson drifting back. Thompson at the wall, makes the catch. Molitor can trot in from third, and the Blue Jays lead 2-0. Fifth RBI of the World Series for Carter, who hit a 2-run homer off Mulholland in Game 2 in the 4th inning. A home run that had much the same flight as that sacrifice fly, a very high, towering fly ball that scraped the backside of the left field fence. 2 outs and the base is now empty. John Olerud looked at ball 1. He's in only 214. Molitor, with that run scored, has broken a record. He scored 15 runs now in this postseason. And that is a major league record for runs in a postseason. Olerud to the gap in left center, all the way to the wall. Thompson tracks it down. Olerud stops at second with a 2-out double.
Johnny Padres out to talk to Mulholland. That pitch to Olerud was up. Molitor hit a pretty good pitch, however, and Joe Carter just missed his. Hit that ball up in the zone, fat part of the plate. And when you lead the league in hitting with a .363 average, you don't miss those pitches that often.
Dave Stewart has a 2-0 lead with which to work. And the Blue Jays are trying to provide him with more before he takes the mound. In the top of the second, Roberto Alomar, 9 for 21, with 5 runs driven in. Off-speed pitch outside. 1-0 on Alomar, the switch-hitting second baseman. Corner, ball and a strike.
That's the pitch that Johnny Padres taught to Mulholland this spring. The sinker away. Padres thought that Mulholland was coming in too much against right-handed hitters, and that pitch has helped carry out a great deal.
The bat goes flying again. Alomar fooled by the off-speed pitch, this time with the swing and the miss.
It's interesting to note that if you're a pitcher like Tommy Glavine, you can work away to right-handed hitters. But very few pitchers, and I mean very few, can continue to pour the ball inside to any hitter. You make a mistake inside, it's a long ball. You make a mistake away, it's a single.
1 ball and 2 strikes. 2 outs. Olerud at second. 2 runs in on the Toronto first. Up the middle, base hit past the diving Stalker. Olerud comes around to score, and the Blue Jays lead is 3-0.
We've talked a lot about Alomar's range in the field. Look at his range at the plate. Rear end out, and he pokes one into center field. That is a nasty pitch by Mulholland, and Alomar hits a rope up the middle, and the Blue Jays have scored 3 quick runs here in the first inning.
On 3 hits, they've almost hit for the cycle as a team. Got a triple, a double, and a single. Fernandez, the hitter, with 9 runs driven into the series. This is the third time in the 6 games in this series that the Blue Jays have scored 3 runs in the first. Alomar has stolen 4 bases and has been thrown out twice.
The other 2 games, they scored 3 runs in the first. They won. They won 10-3 in Game 3 and 15-14 in Game 4.
To learn that Pat Gillick, the Toronto general manager, sitting in the stands watching Game 4, told the people he was sitting with in the second inning of that game, said, "We're going to win this one 15-14. Kind of eerie. Up and away.
Every other move Pat Gillick's made the last 2 years has been good. So, he's superb at predicting scores.
We'll be getting a call from Dionne Warwick to be on the Psychic Friends hotline. In the air in right center, Dykstra waving away Eisenreich, and he makes the catch for the final out of the inning. 3 runs in the first for Toronto. After 1, 3-0 Blue Jays. The Blue Jays, 1 win away from the World Championship, lead 3-0 after an inning in Game 6 here at Skydome. The Phillies coming to bat with Darren Daulton, Jim Eisenreich, and Milt Thompson against Dave Stewart. Daulton 4 for 19, the .211 average. And Stewart's first pitch of the inning is outside for ball 1. Daulton went 0 for 3 against Stewart in Game 2. 2-0 the count. That's well hit to left. Ricky Henderson sprinting back on the warning track. He makes the running catch. Before the series started, we talked to Dave Stewart about his pitching philosophy.
Well, I pretty much follow my instincts. If the Phillies show me something that I should do something different, then I'm going to do something different. I'm not a guy that goes out in a game with exactly one game plan. I plan to do whatever it takes to be successful. If they call for me to throw a lot of fork balls, then I'll throw a lot of fork balls. If they call for me to go to my breaking ball a little bit more, then I'll go to my breaking ball. But the one thing that's pretty consistent is I always throw a lot of fastballs. I don't throw the ball as hard as I used to, but I'm real confident that I can throw the ball where I want to, move it in and out.
That's what he's done. He has adjusted. The Phillies showed that they would take it the first time he faced them, so he's gone more to his fastball tonight.
Eisenreich on a 2-0 pitch, lines to left. Jim slumping of late, 1 for his last 10, and his only hit during that stretch was a bunt single in Game 4. And Stewart doesn't throw as hard as he used to, but we have had him tonight on the gun with pitches as fast as 92 miles per hour. Milt Thompson looked at ball 1. After a 3 for 5 performance in Game 4, Milt went 0 for 3 in Game 5. Sprague at third throws him out. And the Phillies go in order in the second. After an inning and a half in Toronto, the Blue Jays 3 and the Phillies nothing. Sean McDonough with Tim McCarver, Pat O'Brien and Jim Gray at Skydome in Toronto. The Blue Jays lead 3-0 after an inning and a half. Ed Sprague with the first pitch of the home half of the second into the glove of Lenny Dykstra. 1 pitch and 1 out for Terry Mulholland. Gave up 3 runs on 3 hits and a walk in the first. He faced 7 men in the first inning as the Blue Jays posted 3. And the number 9 hitter, Pat Borders, stands in. He's 5 for 19. Two of Borders' 5 hits came in Game 5. He had 2 of the 5 hits off Curt Schilling on Thursday night. Line to center and in for a hit.
Borders, last year's MVP in the World Series, not having the type of series he had last year, but when you're a catcher, you derive so much satisfaction out of your defense because you are in part responsible for the success of the pitchers. So even if you're having a bad series, as Dalton is, offensively, there's a lot to be said that coupling you with the pitching staff gives you a lot more satisfaction, more so than other defensive position players.
Ricky Henderson looked at a strike. He started the first inning by lining out to Dykstra in center field. But Devon White followed with a walk. Paul Molitor tripled him in. Joe Carter lifted a sacrifice fly to score Molitor. And the 2 outs, the bases empty. John Olerud doubled and Roberto Alomar singled him in to make it 3-0 Toronto. 0-2 the count on Henderson. Should the Blue Jays win tonight, this in all likelihood will be Ricky's last game in a Toronto uniform. He's a free agent. 1-2.
If there was ever a misnomer, it's that term free agent.
Isn't that the truth? Fly ball shallow right center. Morandini out to make the play. 2 down, Borders at first. We're in the second. Toronto 3 and Philadelphia nothing. And here comes Devon White, who walked and scored the first Toronto run last inning. Cito Gaston trying to become the first manager to win back-to-back World Series titles since Sparky Anderson did it with the Reds in '75 and '76. Only 10 managers have won back-to-back World Series titles, and 6 of them are in the Hall of Fame. Guys like John McGraw, Connie Mack, Casey Stengel. Of course, Sparky Anderson will be in the Hall of Fame someday. 7 out of the 10 who have done it will be Hall of Famers. Interesting to hear Cito talking before the game tonight about how much longer he might manage. He said probably at the most 2 or 3 more years, and that's it.
I think with a guy like Sparky Anderson, you ought to waive that 5-year waiting period. There are a lot of managers that manage into their 70s, and sometimes they really don't have that much time left to enjoy their period in the Hall of Fame. In Sparky's case, I don't think anybody is in disagreement that he belongs in the Hall of Fame. Why not vote him in there now? For the players, maybe you can understand it, the 5-year waiting period, but not for managers.
The 3-2 pitch with Borders running is strike 3. White goes down swinging. We've played 2 innings in Toronto, and the Blue Jays lead 3-0. Sean McDonough with Tim McCarver, Pat O'Brien and Jim Gray at Skydome in Toronto. The Blue Jays lead 3-0 after an inning and a half. Ed Sprague with the first pitch of the home half of the second into the glove of Lenny Dykstra. 1 pitch and 1 out for Terry Mulholland. Gave up 3 runs on 3 hits and a walk in the first. He faced 7 men in the first inning as the Blue Jays posted 3. And the number 9 hitter, Pat Borders, stands in. He's 5 for 19. 2 of Borders' 5 hits came in Game 5. He had 2 of the 5 hits off Curt Schilling on Thursday night. Line to center and in for a hit.
Borders, last year's MVP in the World Series. Not having the type of series he had last year, but when you're a catcher, you derive so much satisfaction out of your defense because you are in part responsible for the success of the pitchers. So even if you're having a bad series, as Dalton is, offensively, there's a lot to be said that coupling you with the pitching staff gives you a lot more satisfaction, more so than other defensive position players.
Ricky Henderson looked at a strike. He started the first inning by lining out to Dykstra in center field. But Devon White followed with a walk. Paul Molitor tripled him in. Joe Carter lifted a sacrifice fly to score Molitor. With 2 outs, the base is empty. John Olerud doubled, and Roberto Alomar singled him in to make it 3-0 Toronto. 0-2 the count on Henderson. Should the Blue Jays win tonight, this in all likelihood will be Ricky's last game in a Toronto uniform. He's a free agent. 1-2.
If there was ever a misnomer, it's that term free agent.
Isn't that the truth? Fly ball shallow right center. Morandini out to make the play. 2 down, Borders at first. We're in the second. Toronto 3 and Philadelphia 0. And here comes Devon White, who walked and scored the first Toronto run last inning. Cito Gaston trying to become the first manager to win back-to-back World Series titles since Sparky Anderson did it with the Reds in '75 and '76. Only 10 managers have won back-to-back World Series titles, and 6 of them are in the Hall of Fame. Guys like John McGraw, Connie Mack, Casey Stengel. There's Sparky Anderson will be in the Hall of Fame someday. 7 out of the 10 who have done it will be Hall of Famers. Interesting to hear Cito talking before the game tonight about how much longer he might manage. He said probably at the most 2 or 3 more years, and that's it.
I think with a guy like Sparky Anderson, you ought to waive that 5-year waiting period. There are a lot of managers that manage into their 70s, and sometimes they really don't have that much time left to enjoy their period in the Hall of Fame. In Sparky's case, I don't think anybody is in disagreement that he belongs in the Hall of Fame. Why not vote him in there now? For the players, maybe you can understand it, the 5-year waiting period, but not for managers.
The 3-2 pitch with Borders running is strike 3. White goes down swinging. We've played 2 innings in Toronto, and the Blue Jays lead 3-0. Dave Stewart has pitched 3 scoreless innings without allowing a hit, and the Blue Jays lead 3-0 as we go to the bottom of the 3rd. And certainly the Blue Jays are still in the most comfortable position in the series coming into the game tonight with the 1-game advantage, 3 games to 2. But they knew if they lost the game tonight, then they've lost their grip on the series, and anything can happen in a Game 7. So they were under pressure tonight. and that pressure might have been relieved somewhat by those 3 runs in the first.
Well, what the 3 runs does, it allows Dave Stewart to pitch a different type of game. It allows him to challenge the Phillies hitters more. He doesn't have to throw a lot of breaking balls behind in the count, and that has been his pattern through the first 11 hitters. He has really challenged the Philly hitters, and he could change that second time through the order.
He's looking on as Paul Molitor begins the third against Terry Mulholland. He tripled and scored in the first inning. 15th run that Paul has scored this year in the postseason. That's a single postseason record. 1 run more than Roy White in '78 and Jim Rice in '86. And you get the feeling that the Blue Jays individually are going to be happy for themselves if they win the world title. You also get the feeling hearing them talk that they'll be even happier for Paul Molitor. He has not experienced the joy of winning the world championship. That's to left, and a nice running catch by Milt Thompson.
Molitor on the '82 Milwaukee Brewers, and the Brewers were ahead of the Cardinals 3-2 when they went back to St. Louis. But then St. Louis won games 6 and 7 to become world champions, and that's been his only shot. But Cito Gaston, very outspoken on the fact that if they win it, he feels that the guy who most deserves it is Paul Molitor.
1 out, bottom of the third, 3-0 Toronto. Joe Carter looked at a breaking ball for strike 1. That's down to first. Kruk waves off Mulholland, 2 outs. Carter had a sacrifice fly, driving in Molitor after his triple in the first. And that brings up John Olerud, who doubled into the gap in left center and scored the 3rd Toronto run in the first inning. The 0-1 to Olerud. Is sliced out of play to left, 0-2. John told his mother Linda when he was 5 years old that he was going to be a Major League Baseball player. He said, if not, I'll be a doctor. John's dad is a dermatologist. Played minor league baseball for many years. And Dr. Olerud's highest salary as a minor league player was $8,000 a year, money he used to pay his way through medical school. Terry Mulholland's father was a college baseball player, St. Vincent's in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. Thompson had a tough time. The outfielders complain about line drives. Sometimes it's hard to pick them up in the lights here at Skydome. 1, 2, 3 go the Blue Jays in the third. 3 innings. Paul Molitor is now 10 for 21. John Kruk with a foul ball for strike 1.
You mentioned Milt Thompson losing that ball in the lights. The reason that a lot of outfielders assume that position is that they're praying that they catch the ball.
And his prayer was answered. 1-1 on Kruk, who walked with 2 outs in the first. Phillies had only 2 base runners by a couple of 2-out walks issued by Stewart. 2 balls and a strike. Dave Stewart is the first World Series starter to hold a team without a hit over the first 3 innings since Joe McGrain did it for St. Louis against Minnesota in Game 1 of the '87 World Series. And the Phillies are still hitless, 1 out into the 4th. Kruk's comebacker fielded by Stewart. Tomorrow on the NFL Today, join Greg and Terry for all of the latest NFL news. Plus, tonight's your last chance to cram for Terry's exam as Professor Bradshaw presents his National Football Quiz. Just grab your pencil and paper and see if you can pass Football 101 tomorrow on the NFL Today at 12:30 Eastern. It's all you need to know. And that menu of NFL games coming away tomorrow on CBS. Dave Hollins tied up by the first pitch from Stewart. Sprague called for a fair catch and made it in foul ground for the second out. Maybe that'll be on Terry's quiz. What is the proper fair catch signal? Ed Sprague was waving frantically.
The difference is in baseball you can be out of bounds and catch it and it still counts.
You may have just given away one of Terry's questions tomorrow. If you catch a pass out of bounds, does it count? Now they know the answer. Aaron Dalton, the hitter. He lined the left his first time up. That's a very dramatic fair catch signal.
But out of bounds, still an out.
Pat Borders gave him the necessary room as well. You have to give a fair catch to space, and Pat did. 2-1 the count. As Stewart painted the outside corner.
Stewart pitching with a great deal of confidence. Could have been just off the plate, but close enough to call.
And Dalton slices one foul. As we've said many times, when you're pitching as Stewart has tonight, if you're just off the plate, you get those calls. We're all over the place and then throw a pitch there that you tend not to get the called strike. 3 2/3 hitless innings thrown by Stewart. He's working with a 3-0 lead in the fourth. 2 outs and the bases empty. The 2-2 to Dalton. Line down the line. Foul. And not by much.
Darren hits this ball right off the end of the bat. And look at the cue shot action. Fouled by about 4 or 5 inches.
Aaron Dalton will undergo his 7th operation on his left knee when the World Series comes to an end. Ball 3. Well, speaking of football, Aaron was an outstanding quarterback at high school in Ark City, Kansas. Led his team to the state football championship, as Coach Wayne Jackson says. Even though he's an excellent throwing catcher now, he was more of a running quarterback back then. Little looper, big trouble, and the first hit for Philadelphia. No chance for Sprague or Henderson. Dalton trying for 2, and he is safe at second. Hustling double by Darren Dalton, who took a bit of a chance with his team down by 3.
But a good gamble because it's 2 outs. And you also have a left-handed throwing left fielder who has more to do once he gets to the ball. Henderson does a great job getting to it, but watch all he has to do once he makes the catch. He has to turn, and that turn allows Dalton to get to second base. Even if he's thrown out on a play like this, it's a good chance.
Jim Eisenreich lined the left on a 2-0 pitch his first time up. He looked at ball 1 inside. Eisenreich now 1 for his last 10, and that 1 hit bunt single in game 4. 3 runs, 4 hits for Toronto, no runs, now 1 hit for Philadelphia. 2-0 the count on Eisenreich, and that brings Borders out to the mound.
There are a lot of people talking about base running. There are a lot of people who think that when a runner is thrown out, that all the time that he makes the bad play. There are more base running mistakes by players who are too tentative, that never try to take the extra base, than there are base running mistakes by guys getting thrown out at bases.
Ball 3. So Stewart is in danger of walking Eisenreich and bringing the tying run to the plate. Milt Thompson waits on deck. balls and a strike. And slashed out of play. Stewart has battled back to a full count. Dalton at second with 2 outs and a full count on Eisenreich. 3-0 Toronto in the fourth in Game 6 of the World Series. The payoff pitch. Little looper and a base hit. Dalton being waved around. Devon White with the throw to the plate. It's cut off. And the Phillies are on the board. It's 3-1. Jim Eisenreich with just his 5th hit of the World Series, but he has used them to drive in 7 runs, and the Phillies have a run.
Eisenreich delivers after the good base running by Dalton. You don't know what's going to happen for the rest of the inning, but the Phillies have stolen 1 run on the excellent base running by Dutch Dalton. Eisenreich drives in his 7th run of the series.
He's at first with 2 outs. All of this has happened with 2 outs. And Milt Thompson looked at ball 1. He bounced to third his first time up. Ball 2. Stewart upset with himself. He's been working behind the hitters here in the 4th inning. Slicing out of play and left. This is just the 5th trip to the World Series for Philadelphia. They're trying to win it for the 2nd time. Their only World Championship in 1980.
The interesting thing about that 1950 series, when the Whiz Kids lost to the Yankees, Jim Constanti, a short reliever, started Game 1. He was the MVP in the National League that year. And all of the games were close. Yankees won 4 straight, but all were very, very close.
Two-two pitch outside. And with a full count and 2 outs, Eisenreich will be running with the payoff pitch to Thompson. Of course, the Toronto Blue Jays are in the World Series for the 2nd time, and they're trying to make it 2 wins and as many tries, having defeated Atlanta in 6 games last year. Chopped down the line foul. Of course, 6 games has been the lucky number the last couple of years for Toronto. Last year they beat Oakland in the ALCS in 6 games and won the World Series from Atlanta in 6. And this year they beat Chicago in the ALCS in 6 games, and they're trying to win the World Series in Game 6 tonight. Eisenreich runs. Thompson bounced it to second. Alomar throws him out. 1 run for Philadelphia in the 4th after 3.5. 3-1 Toronto. We're looking at the guitar of Eddie Guzman. We don't know if he's related to Juan of Rare Earth. That is hanging at the Hard Rock Cafe out in the outfield here at Sky Dome. Lined up all night last night to get the standing room spaces at the Hard Rock. Those tickets down below are sold in advance. They count as attendance in the ballpark. Terry Mulholland back within 2 runs now as his mates posted 1 in the top of the 4th. They're having a great time at the Hard Rock. Watching Roberto Alomar lead off with a fly ball to deep left. Thompson on the run over his head and off the top of the wall. Nearly a home run. Alomar settles for a double.
This ball missed by about 4 feet. Going out of here, his 11th hit in the series and his 2nd double. He had 35 doubles during the year. And when Alomar leads off the inning with a double, he can do so many things. He stole third 15 times this year in 20 tries. He did make a mistake trying to steal third off Mitch Williams in game 2 when the Blue Jays trailed by 2 runs in the 8th inning. There are so many things they can do with Alomar down there with nobody out now.
Fernandez 5 for 8 with runners in scoring position in the World Series. He has 9 runs batted in. 3 shy of Bobby Richardson's World Series record.
Fernandez likes to push a bunt to the right side in a situation like this to make sure Alomar gets to third.
And Sprague is on deck. Fernandez taking all the way. Looked at ball 1. Tommy Green is available out of the bullpen tonight for Jim Mendoza. He was the starter in game 4. Got knocked out early. And had wild 15 to 14 to fill. In that game, Green only pitched 2 1/3 innings. Fernandez flied to center his first time up. Low and in, 2-0. Alomar 2 for 2 tonight. He singled in a run in the first inning. While Holland has surrendered 5 hits. High chopper to short. Stalker has to hurry at first to get Fernandez. Alomar third now with 1 out. And that brings up Ed Sprague, who has only 1 hit in this series. He's 0 for 1 tonight, out on a fly ball to center in the second. 1 for 14 in the World Series with 1 RBI. The infield is in, and the first pitch is a strike. Pat Borders is on deck. Breaking ball, just missed. Toronto has a 3-1 lead, and they're threatening to score again in the 4th inning. Alomar third and 1 out. Sprague to right and deep enough to get the run in. Maybe better than that. Eisenreich against the fence, and Alomar is in to make it 4-1. Be a little bit deflating to a team, Tim. They score a run to scratch within 2, and just as quickly as they do, the Blue Jays answer with a run of their own in the bottom of the inning.
And think of the way they answered. A leadoff double by Alomar. He goes to third on a ground ball and a sacrifice fly by Sprague. Good situational hitting by the Blue Jays.
The sacrifice fly has been a good friend of the Blue Jays in this World Series. They've had 7 of them. That's a World Series record. There's been a lot of records set between these 2 teams. Pat Borders even in the count at 1-1. He singled his first time up. Cue shot and a base hit. Borders starting to pick it up. He was 2 for 3 in game 5, and he's 2 for 2 tonight.
Looked like a backdoor breaking ball to Borders. He didn't hit it well, but he dumps it in front of Lenny Dykstra in center. See Dalton shift outside while Holland tried the breaking ball, and Borders with his 2nd hit of the night. Hit number 6 for Toronto.
Borders at first with 2 outs for Ricky Henderson. He was 0 for 2 tonight. Ball 1 inside. Henderson lined to center in the first, popped to second in the second. He's now 5 for 20 in the World Series. Tried to check the swing and could not. 1-1 on Henderson.
No argument from Ricky. He knew he went around.
He laid off that breaking ball in the dirt. 2 balls and 1 strike. Henderson has not been a big factor in the Blue Jays postseason success this year. Only 3 hits in the series against Chicago and 25 at bats. He's ahead here 3-1. Should he reach, Devon White would bat next. Check swing, Tapper back to the mound on what looked to be ball 4, and that ends the inning. 1 run for the Blue Jays in the 4th. After 4, Toronto 4 and Philadelphia 1. A World Series moment from 1947.
Outfield deep, round toward left, the infield overshifted. Here's the pitch. Swung on, belted. It's a long one. Deep in left center. Back towards John Friedel. Back. He makes a one-handed catch against the bullpen. Oh, Doctor.
Oh, Doctor, indeed. That was Game 6 of the 47 World Series. The Dodgers leading in that game 8-5. Joe DiMaggio came to the plate. 2 on and 2 outs in the 6th. Al Gianfrido made that spectacular catch. The Dodgers wound up winning the game 8-6, but lost the series in Game 7. The Yankees took it 4 games to 3. Dave Stewart pitching now with a 3-run lead again. It's 4-1. Each team scored once in the 4th. First pitch of the 5th, the strike on Kevin Stocker, who ran up as if to bunt. Stocker fly to center his first time up. Mickey Morandini is on deck, and then Lenny Dykstra.
You may be wondering what the record is, American League and National League. The American League leads the National League in winning World Series 52-37, due primarily to the 22 World Championships by the New York Yankees. You think about all the guys who haven't played in World Series, not only who haven't been on winning teams: Ernie Banks, Ron Santo, Billy Williams, Rod Carew, Luke Appling, Joe Torre, Mickey Vernon, Jose Cruz, and Don Mattingly now at the Yankees. Jim Bunning.
Lined and caught by the shortstop Fernandez, who is playing in the World Series for the first time this year.
Fernandez catches it right above the rug. Got nothing on the carpet then.
Mickey Morandini looked at ball 1 outside. He's wearing the protective gear on his front foot. Alomar boots it. A rare error by the 2-time Gold Glover at second base, Roberto Alomar. It's his second error in this series, and the Phillies have a base runner with 1 out in the 5th.
Coming into postseason play, or to the World Series, he had never made an error in 23 games, and that's his second error, as this ball jumps up, hits the heel of the glove, and bounds into right field. That's a ball he generally sucks up, but not this time.
And it's the first error for either team tonight. And here's Lenny Dykstra, who struck out swinging in the first. He walked in the 3rd. One of 2 walks thrown by Stewart. Ball 1. Stewart has struck out 2. He's given up 2 hits. Stewart was a Philadelphia Philly back in the mid-'80s. Late '85, he came to Philadelphia in a trade from Texas and was released early in 1986. May 9th of '86. Stewart was then a middle reliever coming off arm surgery. He was teaching himself the split-fingered fastball. The Phillies wouldn't let him throw the split in a game situation. Of course, that's such a big part of his success over the last several years. Dykstra in the air, not deep, in right. And Joe Carter is there. 2 outs.
Some hitters, you don't have to set up. You just stay in a zone, and that's what Dave Stewart has been trying to do with Mariano Duncan. Breaking balls away. They're designed to be away. This one hammered foul. This is his last at bat, and he got him with the splitter. Some guys, you do not need to come inside to set up and challenge, because that pitch may be the one he hammers out. But look for Stewart to continue to stay away from Duncan.
First pitch, the ball. Stewart was released by the Phillies back in 1986 to make room for a journeyman outfielder named Ron Renicky. 4 days later, the right-handed pitcher Tom Hume came off the DL for the Phillies. They released another right-handed reliever by the name of Larry Anderson, who was, of course, returned to Philadelphia and was on their team this year. Galen Cisco, the pitching coach, at the mound to speak with his battering. It's one source of controversy here the last couple of days in Toronto has been a story in the Toronto Sun yesterday by Bob Elliott of the Sun staff, citing sources saying that there would be 3 coaching changes for the Blue Jays next year, and that one coach definitely out the door is hitting coach Larry Heisel. John Sullivan had already announced his intention to retire at the end of this year. We didn't speculate as to who the 3rd coach to be let go would be. The published report indicated that Heisel would be let go, and the Blue Jays haven't denied that, adding to the speculation. Tough to figure why they would let the hitting coach go when they were second in the league in runs scored and had the top 3 hitters in the league on their team in Olerud, Molitor, and Alomar.
I mean, if you're going to fire a guy like Larry Heisel, nobody's job is safe. Also the type of guy who gives nobody any trouble.
Duncan down to third. Sprague dropped the ball and has no play. So the Blue Jays have made 2 errors here in the 5th, and that will allow the Phillies to bring the tying run to the plate.
Ed Sprague took his eye off the ball. It looked like he was looking at first base. Right there, the ball hit the back of his glove. Second error of the inning, and we'll see whether it's going to be costly.
Second error in this World Series by Sprague. John Kruk, the tying run at the plate, and he looked at ball 1. He has walked and bounced back to the mound. The Blue Jays lead 4-1. The Phillies batting in the 5th. Stride over the outer third. The consensus coming in was that Toronto had a decided advantage in this series defensively, but the Blue Jays have now made 7 errors in the World Series, and Philadelphia has committed only 2. In the dirt, blocked by Borders. 2 balls, a strike on Kruk.
Pat Borders started his career as an infielder. He says when he initially made the switch to behind the plate that he tried to catch too many of those balls instead of blocking them. Took a year or 2 for him to become adept at catching or blocking those balls rather than trying to use the glove.
The 2-1 to Kruk is low and in. 3-1.
This pitch has yellow light written all over it. John Kruk's tendency is to hit the ball the other way. We'll see if Stewart goes away from it.
Strike, borderline pitch. Kruk had started toward first base.
Looked like a strike. Looked like it had the corner. Kruk had started toward first, but it looked like a strike to me.
Looked like a ball on that angle. Full count now.
Again, you know, you're going to get those close pitches when you're around the plate like Stewart has been. If you're wild, you won't. Good control, you will.
Certainly it was close enough to be called either way. The runners will again be going with a 3-2 pitch. No question about that one. A little bit further outside. And the tying run is at first. And the go-ahead run comes to the plate for Philadelphia. They've loaded the bases without a hit. 2 errors and now a walk. And that has Cito Gaston chomping the gum with a bit more vigor. Dave Hollins 0 for 2 in this ball game. The Phillies have reached Game 6 of the World Series with very little in the postseason from their cleanup hitter. And that continues as Hollins is out on a bounding ball to first. The Phillies leave the bases loaded. They've stranded 6 halfway through the ball game. 4-1 Toronto. Halfway through Game 6 of the World Series, the Toronto Blue Jays lead 4-1. And they have Devon White, Paul Molitor, and Joe Carter coming up against Terry Mulholland. White walked and scored in the first. He struck out swinging in the second. Mulholland missed high with ball 1. So much attention in this postseason given to chewing and spitting and use of tobacco products by the Phillies, and it was Terry Mulholland who, back in spring training, gave up smokeless tobacco after 17 years. He actually spoke about the dangers of it for a congressional committee. He talked about how difficult it is to give up. You've been doing it since you're a young man. It must be tough too to sit in the clubhouse and see all that chewing and spitting going on around him.
Yep, all the temptation to resume it.
It can be addicting. In the case of Mulholland, he says it was. White to right. Eisenreich is there, 1 out. Toronto jumped out with 3 runs in the first. It's the 3rd time in this series they've scored 3 in the first. Paul Molitor tripled to drive in Devon White, who had walked with the first run. The Philadelphia run came on a single by Jim Eisenreich, scoring Darren Daulton, who had doubled. And then Toronto made it 4-1, a sacrifice fly by Ed Sprague, but in Roberto Alomar from third. Alomar had doubled and moved up on a ground out by Fernandez. Molitor looked at a strike. Danny Jackson on the right. He would be the starting pitcher for Philadelphia. There is a Game 7, and Kurt Schilling made Game 6 necessary with his shutout over Toronto in Game 5. Might be available in relief tomorrow night, where there'd be a Game 7. Josi said he wouldn't know till tomorrow. Molitor reducing the likelihood of a Game 7 somewhat with a tremendous blast into the second deck and left. They were chanting MVP very faintly in some sections of Sky Dome when he stepped in. That's a chant that might pick up some steam as Molitor takes his place in the dugout after his 2nd home run of the World Series.
When you think of the initials PM in Canada, you think of Prime Minister. But I think Paul Molitor may change that for Canadians. This ball, a rocket into the left field stands.
Joe Carter down to third. Long throw for Hollins. Out at first is Carter.
Molitor's 7th. Make that 6th extra base hit, his 2nd home run after his 2nd triple. That fastball in for a strike, and then Mulholland went away. And now this breaking ball right up in his eyes. When you're a catcher, you just want to reach out and interfere with the hitter.
You saw the banner. The federal elections here in Canada are Monday. We talked about Prime Minister. Paul Molitor might get a lot of write-in votes. John Olerud. Molitor now 11 for 22 in the World Series with As Tim mentioned, 6 extra base hits, 2 doubles, 2 triples, and 2 homers. He's driven in 8 and scored 9. He played the field in 3 ball games without it, Tim. Played very well, in fact. And Olerud lines one to center right at Dykstra. That ends the inning. 1 run for the Blue Jays in the 5th on a home run by Molitor. After 5-1 Toronto. The Toronto Blue Jays 1 win away from capturing the World Series, lead 5-1 as the Phillies bat in the 6th inning against Dave Stewart. Philadelphia has managed only 2 hits to this point. The first came by Darren Dalton, a looping double down the left field line in the 4th, and he scored on the other hit, a single by Jim Eisenreich. That's all of the damage done to Stewart through 5 innings. He survives the shaky defense behind him last inning.
Huge out to get Dave Hollins to end the inning with the ground out. Bases loaded.
Dalton line to left his first time up. Eisenreich on deck, and then Milt Thompson scheduled up against Stewart. In the air to center. Levon White. 1 out. Kind of a sign of the times yesterday at the off-day press conference. Dave Stewart up at the podium, in the middle of answering questions, his cellular phone rang inside one of his jacket pockets. Politely excused himself to answer the phone. Jim Eisenreich, the hitter. Regardless of the outcome of the World Series, Jim Eisenreich has been a great role model for those folks around North America who are battling Tourette syndrome. Jim takes medication to control Tourette syndrome. He said most guys get up for the game, I go down for the game. 0-2 the count on Eisenreich. Up the middle, backhanded by Alomar, and dug out by Olerud. 2 down in the Philadelphia 6th.
Good play on both ends. Alomar going to his right, and the throw a little low, and scooped by out Olerud.
Milt Thompson, the hitter. He swings away at the first pitch and pops it up. Ed Sprague and Tony Fernandez. It's the third baseman making the catch in foul ground. 1, 2, 3 go the Phillies. We'll return to Sky Dome after this message and a word from your local station. Heading to the bottom of the 6th inning, the Toronto Blue Jays 1 win away from winning the World Series for the 2nd consecutive year, have a 5-1 lead. Sean McDonough along with Tim McCarver, and it's the veterans leading the Blue Jays tonight, Paul Molitor and Dave Stewart.
Not only veterans, but 2 guys that the Blue Jays got during the offseason, signing both as free agents, and Dave Stewart pitching a terrific ball game, and Molitor not only with 2 RBIs, a triple and a home run, but he scored a run. So he is the Blue Jays lineup. Their offensive production has come from Molitor, and defensively and from the pitching, Dave Stewart.
And Roberto Alomar greets Roger Mason with a line drive in a right center, cut off by Eisenreich. And Alomar says don't concede the MVP trophy to Paul Molitor just yet should the Blue Jays win tonight, as he has his 12th hit of the series.
Well, Alomar digs a lot of balls off the turf with his glove, and he dug that ball right out of the ground with his bat.
Roger Mason, the 35-year-old right-hander from Bel Air, Michigan, greeted rudely. His first pitch lined in a right center for a hit for Alomar, who's 3 for 3 tonight, 2 singles and a double. Terry Mulholland worked 5 innings He allowed 5 runs on 7 hits. Walked 1 and struck out 1. Tony Fernandez went 0 for 2 against him. Bottom of the 6th, 5-1 Blue Jays. They're out hitting the Phillies now 8-2. Fernandez has flied to center and bounced to short. Alomar bluffed towards second as Fernandez looked at a strike.
Well, it's just a matter of when Alomar is going to run. Cito Gaston telling us before the game that the green light is always on for guys like Alomar, White, Molitor, and he rarely gives the stop sign. He considers all 3 very intelligent base runners. Their option whether to run or not.
He said Alomar is probably the Blue Jays' best base runner. Foul ball, 0-2 on Fernandez.
It's best for Alomar to run with Fernandez at the plate. You have 2 right-handers coming up after Fernandez. You have Sprague and Borders. And it's easier for a catcher to throw with a right-handed hitter up there because he can see whether the runner's running or not.
He is not running. And it's a ball outside.
Matter of fact, catchers look over at the bench and will tell somebody on the bench, let me know, with a runner on at first base. You can see before Darren Dalton gives the sign, he peeks down to first to see how far Alomar is off.
Strike 3. Fernandez strikes out on the high fastball for the first out of the inning.
Fastball out of the strike zone, and Mason did something that is probably the best deterrent for a fast runner, and that's to hold the ball. Base runners have rhythm, just like pitchers and catchers and infielders and hitters. And if you hold the ball and make the base runner wait, that usually is the best deterrent to keep him from stealing.
It's Sprague, the batter. Sprague drove in a run with a sacrifice fly in the 4th. He flied to center in the 2nd. Nick Leyva, the third base coach, threw the signs for Sprague and Alomar. Alomar back to first. Roberto now with 12 hits with his 3 for 3 tonight. Should this series end tonight, that would tie the record for most hits in a 6-game World Series. The record held by Billy Martin in 1953. Tied by Alomar tonight. Perhaps have another chance to bat tonight. Very high and left. Alomar back to the bag to tag as Thompson makes the catch, and Roberto will not try to move up. Alomar is also now hitting .376 for his career in the postseason, and that is the highest batting average ever among the 100 players who have had at least 100 postseason at bats. Paul Molitor second on that list, and Devon White 5th. Pat Borders 2 for 2 tonight. Lost the bat as the ball went straight back over the screen. The Blue Jays lead 5-1 in the bottom of the 6th. Couple of singles to center field tonight for Borders off Mulholland. Roger Mason said he wasn't quite sure what he was stepping into when he joined the Phillies in July of this year in a trade from San Diego. So much talk about the Phillies' image and reputations, and Roger Mason is a born-again Christian. So from time to time in the clubhouse, somebody will say a word that isn't all that pleasant, and then they'll wheel around looking for Mason. They immediately apologize. Roger says he has enjoyed very much his experience with the Phillies, as you might expect. A pop-up, Kruk taking charge out in front of the plate, and that ends the inning. We've played 6 at Skydome in Toronto, and the Blue Jays lead 5-1. Now a look back at the 1986 World Series.
And the pitch by Stanley, and a ground ball trickling. It is a fair ball. Hit by Buckner. Down the third base. The Mets will win the ball game. The Mets win. They win. Unbelievable. The Red Sox in stunned disbelief.
Wasn't that the truth? Bill Buckner couldn't handle Mookie Wilson's grounder. Ray Knight scored the winning run as the Mets came from behind to win Game 6 in the bottom of the 9th. To win Game 7. To take the series 4-3. That's difficult for me to read. So next time they show that play.
Yeah, we talked about Bucky Dent the other night. Now the 1986 World Series that Red Sox fans will never forget, along with that 78 home run by Dent.
Of course, the talented actor Charlie Sheen recently purchased that ball at an auction for over $90,000. Quite a collectible. Kevin Stocker, the batter. 2 balls and 1 strike to count. Phillies running out of time. They're batting in the 7th, down 5-1 against Dave Stewart. Was only allowed 2 hits. They came back-to-back in the 4th when the Phillies scored their run. At the knees, 2-2. Mickey Morandini is on deck, and then Lenny Dykstra. Mariano Duncan would bat 4th in this inning. Breaking ball, fouled out of play to the left. Jim Fregosi seemed comfortable with his team's position coming into tonight, even though they trailed 3-2. He talked about all the times this year that the Phillies had bounced back from adversity. They survived challenges during the regular season from Montreal and St. Louis to win the National League East. They won the final 3 games of the playoff series with Atlanta to win that series in 6. And he seemed relatively confident in his team's ability to repeat that in the World Series. Well, the Blue Jays' confidence has to be bolstered by what they went through during the regular season. 16 days on 16 different days after the All-Star break. They were tied for first, but never once did they relinquish their hold on first place.
And it's not like it came easy for either organization. We talked earlier about Dave Stewart, about his frustrations becoming a pitcher. I mean, a real good major league pitcher at the age of 30. When he first won 20 games. But what about the organizations? 1985, the Blue Jays up 3-1 against Kansas City. They lost the series as the Royals came back and won 3 in a row. 1987, the Tigers ended up winning the division after the Blue Jays had a 3.5-game lead with a week to play, and they lost all 7 games that they had remaining. 1989, they lost after winning the division, losing to Oakland.
It was only in winning the World Series last year that the Blue Jays finally shed that label of can't win the big one.
Yeah.
And then they reinforced that they could win the big one this year, when every time that they were really tested during the regular season, it seemed they could turn it on at a moment's notice and push back the opposition. Stocker battling Stewart. Another 3-2 pitch is ball 4. That is the 4th walk thrown by Stewart. Stocker was up there for 10 pitches. Stewart has now thrown 109. And the batter is Mickey Morandini. Strike one. Action in the bullpen. Al Leiter is the left-hander. Danny Cox, the right-hander. The one strike to Morandini, fouled out of play. Stewart did not throw a complete game this year. He hasn't finished a ball game since August 14th of 1992. Tonight he has certainly enhanced his image as the game's best money pitcher. Many fans here in Toronto get frustrated by the overall quiet at Sky Dome. And that sight we just saw is not all that uncommon. Fans trying to implore others to make noise. This crowd seemed very much into it early on, but now you get the sense that they're sitting back in anticipation of the celebration that might be forthcoming 3 innings from now.
That fellow wouldn't have to do that in Philadelphia.
No.
Speaking of Philadelphia, in their 110-year history, they finished last 29 times. They've won the big prize only once back in 1980.
Line drive, base hit. Over the glove of Fernandez. Cut off by Henderson. Stocker continues to third, and here come the Phillies. First and third, and nobody out.
And it's uh-oh time for Blue Jays and their fans. The 8 and 9 batters, after a good at bat by Stocker, Morandini comes through. And the Phillies with runners on at first and third and nobody out here in the 7th inning.
Lenny Dykstra, the batter. Tying run now in the on-deck circle. Dykstra's at the plate. Mariano Duncan is on deck. Dykstra 0 for 2 with a walk. Ball 1, up and away. Dykstra is 0 for his last 6 in this series. As we've noted many times during the playoffs and World Series, he seems to rise to the occasion when it means most. Two 2-0 is the count, and that's going to bring Galen Cisco, the pitching coach, out to the mound.
Think about how flexible Dykstra is offensively. If you need a walk, he can get a walk. You need a home run, you can get a home run. An extra base hit, that too. Excellent base runner with 37 stolen bases. He can do so many things to beat you.
Jim Fregosi said before the game tonight that he really doesn't get enough credit for his baseball intelligence, his knowledge of the game and how it should be played in certain situations. He said from time to time this year Lenny has predicted that he would hit a home run because he knew he had set the pitcher up in previous at-bats. He says it's uncanny how many times Lenny has called the home run and then gone up there and hit it.
It's almost a character of the Phillies collectively. And Dykstra, a very intelligent hitter. You know, you don't think of them as intelligent players because, you know, they're chewing tobacco, John Kruk with his stomach hanging out and stuff like that. But these guys are a very, very intelligent group of ball players.
And very nervous at the moment. They're down by 4 runs. In the 7th inning, the 2-0 fouled straight back. Runners at first and third and nobody out. Ball 3 outside. Well hit to right, way back, and that one is way out of here. Second deck home run for Lenny Dykstra. And all of a sudden, it's a one-run game, 5-4. Rising to the occasion when it matters most indeed.
I wonder if he would have told Jim Fregosi that he was going to hit this one out, because he had Stewart set up a 3-1 fastball right down the pipe. Boy, did he unload on that ball. That is his 10th postseason home run.
And his 4th in this World Series. It knocks out Dave Stewart, who departs with the Blue Jays up by 1.
To a look from Dave Stewart to a look at Lenny Dykstra. And friends.
Tommy Green, arms raised. 4th home run of the World Series for Lenny Dykstra, one shy of the record of Reggie Jackson. It's the 6th in this postseason for Dykstra. And that ties the record set by Bob Robertson of the Pirates back in 1971 for most home runs in a single postseason. Robertson hit 4 in the championship series that year and 2 in the World Series. So Lenny Dykstra has tied the home run record for a single postseason. Danny Cox, the new pitcher, still nobody out. The Phillies within a run at 5-4 in the top of the 7th, and Cox makes his 3rd appearance. He pitched in games 3 and 5. It's 2 innings in game 3 and allowed 1 hit. Duncan sinking fast in center. The tying run is on for Philadelphia.
Fastball away to Duncan. He pokes one into center.
His 10th hit of the World Series, and that's a Phillies club record. He had been tied with Larry Bowa, who had 9 in 1980.
After that game on Thursday night, Schilling in the shutout 2-0. Lenny Dykstra said yesterday coming through Customs, it was his happiest time ever going through Customs. Well, if the Phillies come back and then win tomorrow night, coming in yesterday will be his second best time going through Customs.
Pitch called a strike. It appeared to be off the outside part of the plate. John Kruk has walked twice and has bounced back to the mound. He's just 1 for his last 10. Cox missed up and away. Cito Gaston cannot see directly into his bullpen. That's why they have the TV monitors there. You can punch the button to the Phillies bullpen, should he so choose. Al Leiter's still throwing in the Toronto cap. A ball low. 2-1 on Kruk. And the excitement builds in the Phillies wide section. Kruk at the plate. Dave Hollins on deck. Kruk represents the go-ahead run at the plate. Big hack and a miss. That's pitch 92 miles per hour from Danny Cox. And he appeared Thursday night in Game 5. The 2-0 Phillies win. Pitched 1 inning, walked the first 2 men he faced, and then struck out 3 in a row. One of the walks went to Kruk. The 2-2 in the dirt. Check swing. They want an appeal. Strike 3. Mark Johnson rings up John Kruk.
We'll see if Kruk went too far. Yes, he did. Good call by Mark Johnson, the third base umpire. That little wave at the end where the left hand almost went over the right hand. Not a real argument from John. Nope. He appeared to have known it.
Now Hollins. 0 for 3 tonight. As we've noted a couple of times, he hasn't done much in the postseason, but all of that would be forgotten with a big hit here for Philadelphia. Duncan, the runner at first. He's stolen 2 bases in this World Series without being caught. First pitch to Hollins is a strike. The Blue Jays lead 5-4. They led 5-1 coming into this, the 7th inning. But Lenny Dykstra's 3-run homer has made it a 1-run game.
Pat Borders wants the pitch up. And he got it up and out. You could see him waving. He gave the fastball up. We've mentioned several times how the Blue Jays tried to pitch Dave Hollins. They try to crowd him with the fastball, but this ball tailing back over the plate.
The 1-1 pitch. Up and away again. 2-1 on Hollins. 1 out. Duncan at first. 7th inning. 5-4 Blue Jays. Out of play to the left. It could be the last batter for Cox with Darren Dalton on deck, a left-handed hitter. Hollins, a much better hitter right-handed. No towel yet for Curt Schilling, but it's probably approaching that time. Now the 2-2 with Duncan running his ball 3. The throw, safe, and the tying run is in scoring position. Duncan, his 3rd stolen base without being caught in the World Series.
He only had 6 during the season. He waited and waited and waited until he got a good jump. The pitch was a good pitch to handle for Pat Borders, but Duncan had such a good jump. He slides in under the tag. He had his left hand on the bag when Tony Fernandez applied the tag.
Tying run at second. Full count on Hollins. The payoff pitch. Up the middle, a base hit. Duncan waved around and he will score. 5-5.
High five time for the Phillies. It looks like Hollins was fisted a bit, but he rolls it up the middle. Duncan scores very easily, and the Phillies have struck for 4 runs here in the 7th inning.
And all of a sudden, if you're a Phillies fan, it doesn't matter what Dave Hollins hasn't done prior to tonight. Still only 1 out. Go-ahead run at first. 7th batter of the inning, Darren Dalton, and the right-hander Cox continues. He'll face Dalton.
Surprises me. You have 2 left-handed batters following Dalton. You have Jim Eisenreich, Milt Thompson coming up. If you're not going to use Leiter now, why is he throwing?
Cox has faced 3 men. He's given up 2 hits with the strikeout of Kruk in between. Hollins with just his 2nd RBI in the World Series is at first with a count of 1-0 on Dalton.
Darren, a .212 hitter against left-handed pitching this year.
Perhaps it was the number we saw on the screen, the 0 for 8 lifetime against Cox, that has prompted Cito Gaston to stick with the right-hander.
Sometimes those numbers, though, they come when a pitcher is a much better pitcher. And perhaps, I mean, Danny Cox has been in the American League the last few years. Darren Dalton facing him a lot of years with the Cardinals when he was a much more proficient pitcher.
A strike, 2-1.
Outside half.
Dalton, a former battery mate of Danny Cox, who pitched for the Phillies in 1992. Ball 3 outside. Mariano Duncan, one of the stars of this World Series for Philadelphia. Following the Dykstra 3-run homer that made it a 1-run game, he kept the rally going with a single. He stole second and scored the game-tying run of the base hit by Hollins. Ball 4 wasn't close. And the crowd is growing impatient with Cox and Gaston. That puts the go-ahead run in scoring position. Game 7, if necessary, would be played here at Sky Dome tomorrow night. Airtime on CBS Sports, 8 Eastern Time, with the first pitch at 8:29. And if necessary, the starters would be Danny Jackson, the left-hander for Philadelphia, and Pat Henkin, the right-hander for Cito Gaston. Todd Stottlemyre has started warming up. Al Leiter in the background has stopped throwing. Jim Eisenreich, another left-handed hitter up there, swinging a miss for strike one. He's 1 for 3. He singled to center to drive in the first Philadelphia run in the fourth inning. That was the only run the Phillies had prior to this inning.
Al Leiter did have a bad outing his last time out. That was in game 4. He was really lit up by the Phillies, but he was the winning pitcher in game 1 here at Skydome. And I am really surprised. Possibly Leiter called down and told Cito Gaston something. But with all of the left-handers that the Phillies have, to wonder he's not in the ball game now.
And if the managers hesitated to use the pitchers in the series who have had one rough outing, they wouldn't have much to choose from.
That's right. That's right. Selection is few.
Hollins at second, Dalton at first. Still only 1 out. The Phillies have scored 4 times here in the 7th to tie the game at 5. A 1-1 to Eisenreich. There's a swing and a miss for strike 2. He is the 8th batter of the inning. Milt Thompson waits on deck. The 1-2 pitch, low and in. High chopper could be a big problem. It will be. Everybody's safe. Bases full of Phillies with 1 out. An infield hit for Jim Eisenreich. And Jim Fragosi's dad is one of the few happy fans in the seats here at Skydome.
Archie has just seen, Archie Fragosi that is, he has just seen the blast and now the bloop. The players say let's have a bloop and a blast when they're down by 4. Well, it was Dykstra's blast and now Eisenreich's bloop that loads the bases with 1 out.
Al Leiter coming in to pitch to Milt Thompson when we come back. The new pitcher is Al Leiter. Cito Gaston did not bring him in. The pitch to the left-handed hitters Dalton or Eisenreich. Summoned him to pitch to Milt Thompson. Leiter, the winning pitcher in game 1, and was one of several pitchers on both sides roughed up in game 4. And he'll be greeted by a pinch hitter. Thompson called back. The right-handed hitting Pete Incaviglia sent up. He's 1 for 8 in the World Series. He's the 9th batter of the inning. The Phillies have already scored 4, and they've loaded the bases with 1 out. Leiter pitching on his 28th birthday. And Incaviglia drives one to center. Deep enough to bring the go-ahead run in for Philadelphia. Hollins comes to the plate to make it 6-5 Phillies. Pete Incaviglia needed just 1 pitch to pick up his first World Series RBI. And Philadelphia leads for the first time tonight. And on the play, Darren Dalton tagged and went to third.
And I do not understand Cito Gaston's use of Al Leiter in this game. With Darren Dalton up, a runner at first base and 1 out, there's no way that Fragosi's going to pinch hit for Darren Dalton. So you bring the left-hander in to pitch to Dalton, and Fragosi's going to make a move with Eisenreich up there. You have the right to bring in another right-hander to pitch to Chamberlain or Incaviglia. But now when you bring Leiter in, you really put him in a position where if he gives up a sacrifice fly, that's a run, and that's what happened. Not a lot of room to work for Al Leiter in this inning.
And one aspect of this inning that should not be forgotten is the great at-bat by Stocker that started it. You might remember that he battled Stewart for a walk on the 10th pitch of the at-bat. That came leading off the inning, and Stocker scored on the Dykstra home run. Not a good-looking swing by Stocker, who's batting right-handed for the first time tonight. He's in the hole 0-2.
Diving slider out of the strike zone, and a good one by Leiter.
The crowd wants Leiter to put an end to the inning right here. The Phillies have scored 5 times. He struck him out. And that ends the inning. But as they stretch at Sky Dome, the visiting team has a 1-run lead. The Philadelphia Phillies have taken the lead for the first time tonight with 5 runs in the 7th inning. They lead 6-5. Larry Anderson and David West warming up in the bullpen. West, the left-hander. Roger Mason is on the mound, about to begin his 2nd inning in relief of Terry Mulholland. And Pete Incaviglia remains in the game as the left fielder. So the defense weakened somewhat, but Incaviglia did his job driving in the go-ahead run. Top of the order coming up for Toronto. Ricky Henderson, Devon White, and Paul Molitor. Henderson 0 for 3 tonight. Mason allowed a leadoff single last inning, then got the next 3 hitters in a row. His first pitch of the 7th, a ball. Well hit to left. But the swing made it look better than it was, and Incaviglia makes the catch. 1 out. Henderson now 0 for 4.
Before this game, there wasn't a lot of strategy that was questionable in the first 5 games. But I think the most questionable strategy was the lack of use of Al Leiter to Darren Dalton and Jim Eisenreich in the top of the 7th inning by Cito Gaston.
Now Devon White. One thing that has been consistent about Cito Gaston over the years is he tends to ride a long time with his pitchers. His critics charge that he's too slow to go out with the hook. White 0 for 2 and a walk and a run scored back in the first inning. He's even in the count 1-1. 1-2 the count. Off the end of the bat, a foul ball. Fergosi said Roger Mason had a tired arm when he came to the Phillies on July 3rd, even though it was only July 3rd when they got Mason. He had already appeared in 34 games with the Padres and had a record of 0-7. As a result, Roger had some difficulty with the long ball in his stay with the Phillies during the regular season. He gave up 9 home runs in 49 2/3 innings with the Phillies over the second half of the year. Roger said every time they made a bad pitch, they hit it out. No swings and misses, no fouls back to the screen. Gave up 5 home runs that cost him a ball game. A home run by Dykstra got the Phillies right back in the ball game. They scored 2 more after his home run to take the lead. White sends it foul past Bob Baylor in the first base coach's box. Mason has been the one bright light among the middle and long relief corps of Philadelphia in this World Series. He's now only given up 1 run in 6 2/3 innings. And he's been an outstanding postseason pitcher for his career in the postseason. He's worked 17 1/3 innings and has only given up 1 run. The 2-2 on its way to White. He struck him out with the high fastball. White strikes out for the second time tonight.
Roger Mason had thrown all of those split finger fastballs. White was in a defensive position, and when a hitter's like that, that's the time to pop him up and in, and that's what Mason did. Blew it by him upstairs.
2 outs, the base is empty. Bottom of the 7th, 6-5 Philadelphia. Paul Molitor is homered and tripled. He homered his last time up off Mulholland. In the second level and left. He pops the first pitch from Mason. Out of play to the right. Into Molitor. Paul Molitor's wife. Throwing hard. 0-2 the count. Previous pitch was 92 miles per hour. '88 miles per hour on the second pitch to Molitor. Mason has retired 5 in a row. And he's just inside with the 0-2 to Molitor.
Oh, just off the plate, and that's where it should be with the count 0-2. Mason 6'6", and when he releases the ball appears to be about 3 or 4 inches more on top of you. It's tough to get your swing started against a tall guy like Mason.
To center field, and Dykstra drifts back to make the catch. Ball carried a long way. 1-2-3 go the Blue Jays in the 7th. We head to the 8th with the Phillies on top, 6-5. The Blue Jays led 5-1 after 6 innings, but the Phillies scored 5 times in the 7th. Lenny Dykstra drove in the first 3 with a home run. Meanwhile, Paul Molitor and Roberto Alomar are pacing the Blue Jay attack again tonight. Here's a look at the Dykstra homer with Stocker and Morandini aboard. Into the second deck in right rather, for Lenny's 4th home run of the World Series. In the first pitch of the 8th inning, a strike to Mickey Morandini. He singled just ahead of Dykstra and scored in the home run. Facing Al Leiter. Here's quickly ahead of them 0-2. Dykstra is on deck, and then Duncan. Al Leiter was hoping that the Blue Jays would have wrapped it up before tonight. He wanted to attend his cousin Dan's wedding today in Florida. Morandini tried to bunt, and that is strike 3. The Phillies trailed by 4 runs in the 7th inning. No team facing elimination in the World Series has ever come back from that large a deficit that late in a game to win the game. 2 teams facing elimination overcame early 4-run leads to win a game. The 2 teams you see on your screen. And if the Phillies hang on, they'd be the first team facing elimination to overcome that large a deficit that late in the ballgame. And Lenny Dykstra, the man who got them off and running during the 5-run 7th with the 3-run homer. Was only hit in 3 at-bats. He walked in the 3rd. I mentioned Dan Leiter's wedding today. The best man at Dan Leiter's wedding is Dan's brother John, another of Al's cousins. And Al says he hasn't really felt pressure pitching in the postseason because his brother John, his cousin John rather, is battling brain cancer. All of us send our best wishes out to John in Clearwater. That's ball 4. The first batter to reach against Al Leiter is Lenny Dykstra. Leiter had faced 3 men and retired them all prior to that walk. So a 1-out base runner for Philadelphia in the 8th inning with the Phillies leading 6-5. And Dykstra very much a threat to run. He's stolen 3 bases without being caught in this series. Now Duncan, who had another big hit in the World Series for Philadelphia. Last inning, he singled right after the Dykstra home run and scored the tying run after stealing second. He scored on the single by Dave Holland. First pitch, a ball at Duncan. It was at 90 miles per hour. I mentioned earlier, this is the first time that Duncan has ever served as the DH in a major league or a minor league game. So he didn't really know what to do, but he thought he'd keep loose in the tunnel leading from the dugout to the clubhouse by swinging a bat between innings. Galen Cisco back to the mound with the count 2-0 on Duncan.
Lenny Dykstra with 37 stolen bases during the regular season. He has a couple in the World Series. It's unlikely, however, that he'll be running with a count 2 balls and no strikes. To reiterate, Jim Fregosi does not like to send the runners with a count 2-0 or 3-1. He'll do it 3-2, but he considers those hitters counts and is unlikely to send the runner on this pitch.
Ball 3, 3-0. There is double-barreled action in the Toronto bullpen. Tony Castillo is the left-hander, Mike Timlin the right-hander. Duncan is taking all the way. 3 balls and a strike. John Kruk is on deck. The Phillies have 6 runs on 7 hits and no errors. Toronto 5 runs, 8 hits and 2 errors. Neither of them proved costly. Dykstra was heading back to first as Leiter delivered to the plate. 3-2 now.
And not running either. He didn't run 2-0. He didn't run 3-1, but he'll be running here. One thing with a count 3-2, 1 out, you want to make sure the pitcher pitches. You cannot get picked off in this situation.
Dykstra runs. Duncan a little pop-up. Alomar will handle it. And Dykstra scampered back to first with 2 outs. 1 for 5 now is Mariano Duncan. And that will bring up John Kruk. He was 0 for 2 with 2 walks tonight. And is now just 1 for his last 11. Tried to check his swing and could not. And in the bottom of the 8th, the Blue Jays have the middle third of their order due up. Carter, Olerud, and Alomar. Goes, the pitch is a ball, and Dykstra has the stolen base as Borders could not get up to make the throw. 4th stolen base of the World Series for Lenny Dykstra, and another runner in scoring position for Philadelphia.
What a jump. He was 4 steps into his move. By the time Leiter came home, he guessed right, and Borders had no play.
The 1-1 to Kruk. Broken bat, bouncer down to third. Sprague throws him out. The Phillies have stranded 9 base runners. We go to the bottom of the 8th. 6-5 Philadelphia. Roger Mason about to begin his 3rd inning of relief. He's retired 6 in a row. He's facing the middle third of the Toronto order in the 8th inning. 6-5 Philadelphia. Joe Carter is 0 for 2. He had a sacrifice fly in the 1st inning. Then John Olerud and Roberto Alomar.
What Jim Fregosi may do is allow Mason to pitch to Joe Carter and then bring David West in, the left-hander, to pitch to Olerud. And once he finishes that, bring Larry Anderson in to pitch to the other right-hander. Even though Alomar is a switch hitter, Tony Fernandez is a switch hitter. Had the option of leaving West in or bringing Anderson in. But this could be Roger Mason's last man.
Ordinarily he pitches an inning or 2, and that is it. But it has to be tempting for Jim Fregosi to ride with him as long as he can, because the rest of the bullpen has been so shaky, and Mason has been the one bright light.
Mason has pitched 4 innings once.
Incaviglia goes toward the line to make the catch. 1 out.
4 innings once during the regular season, 3 innings 2 other times, and I think Jim's going to make the move.
He will. So Mason will depart, having pitched 2 1/3 innings, having retired the last 7 men he has faced. And David West, the left-hander, will come on to work to John Olerud. With the score, Philadelphia 6 and Toronto 5 will return to Sky Dome right after this. David West is the new pitcher for Philadelphia. He's on to protect a 1-run lead with 1 out of the bases empty in the 8th. It's his 3rd appearance of the World Series. He's had a tough time. He pitched a total of 1 inning and has given up 5 hits and 3 earned runs. He's faced 9 men and has given up 5 hits and hit a batter. Greeted by John Olerud. First pitch from West, 93 miles per hour and a ball to Olerud. He was 1 for 3, doubled and scored in the 1st inning. He's lined the outfield for outs twice since then. Olerud faced West only once previously in this series. That was in Game 4, and John singled to left in the 6th inning. Mason cruising along. Jim Fregosi went to West. to face Olerud, and then Alomar is on deck. And Alomar in this series is 2 for 2 against West.
So you may see David West just work to Olerud. We'll see. If he walks him, I would think he will certainly just work to Olerud. Of course, Alomar, on the other hand, is a much better left-handed hitter than he is right-handed. All sorts of options here.
Ball 4. West walks Olerud on 5 pitches. And we saw Jim Fregosi the other night go all the way with Kurt Schilling, 146 pitches. Obviously, he wanted to stay away from the bullpen. If Roger Mason can continue on at all, wouldn't the same attitude apply? Here's a guy who is one of my few who's pitched well. I'm going to go with him as long as I can.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point. But on the other hand, he's done this with David West, 76 appearances all year, and they flip-flop the West-Anderson tandem, and that's what he's going to do again.
So West departs after putting the tying run on first. Sky Dome in Toronto, the Philadelphia Phillies lead by a run with 1 out and a runner at first in the 8th inning, and Larry Anderson is on to make his 4th appearance in this World Series. And like West ahead of him, Larry hasn't fared very well. In 3 innings, he's given up 5 earned runs on 5 hits. Olerud drew the walk from West, and John has been removed for Alfredo Griffin as a pinch runner. Anderson, 40-year-old reliever, oldest relief pitcher in the National League this year. When he first broke into professional baseball back in 1971, the average age of the Blue Jay starters 7.6 years old.
Kind of interesting that Griffin's in the ballgame now. I think Cañate is a faster runner. He was the pinch runner the other night in the game with the Blue Jays down by 2. Maybe Cito Gaston is leaving Griffin in the game because he's going to stay in the game, possibly as a first baseman.
Alomar shoots the first one out of play. And really every number that we've seen, including when we just saw Alomar's impressive average lifetime against Larry Anderson, points toward leaving Mason in if you absolutely can. West has had a very tough time. Anderson has not fared well against Alomar. Yet the pitcher who's pitched well goes out of the game in a crucial situation, handed over to 2 guys who not only haven't pitched well in general, but in specific matters against these 2 batters who come up for Toronto, haven't pitched well one-on-one against them. Out of play, Anderson quickly ahead of Alomar, 0-2. Roberto has had a perfect night. 2 singles and a double. He has scored a run and driven in 1. He has 12 hits in the World Series. The record is 13. A pop-up. Hollins does not have room. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning. Philadelphia 6 and Toronto 5 in Game 6 of the World Series. The Phillies need a win to force Game 7. The Blue Jays with a win would have their 2nd consecutive World Championship. Tying run at first. Go ahead run at the plate. Wow. And ball 1 high to Alomar. The hit would be his 13th of the World Series and would tie the World Series record set by Bobby Richardson, Lou Brock, and Marty Barrett. Just outside. Anderson tried the backdoor breaking ball. Now the 2-2 pitch, just outside. Anderson spins away in disgust, and Fregosi hollering out at Dana DeMuth.
Anderson's reaction on the 1-2 pitch, he was livid, and now he's joined by Darren Daulton, but as you can see, that ball's outside. It looked like the 1-2 pitch was closer than the 2-2 pitch.
And now Cito Gaston has to decide if Alfredo Griffin will run on a 3-2 pitch to Alomar with 1 out. He is not running, and Alomar sends it out of play and left. Notoriously silent crowd is quiet no longer. Most of the fans on their feet. With the Blue Jays trailing by a run in the bottom of the 8th. Tying run at first. Another 3-2 pitch. Down the left field line, slicing foul. And Alomar's fought off a couple of 3-2 pitches. Roberto will be followed by Tony Fernandez. Griffin runs this time. It's bounced down to first. They get the out there. But Cito Gaston stayed out of the double play by having Griffin on the move with the 3-2 pitch to Alomar. So the tying run is in scoring position with 2 outs.
Right to John Kruk, but by the time Kruk steps on first, Griffin had arrived at second. Interesting situation right here in the foreground. Daulton and Anderson talking. There is almost no way you can walk Tony Fernandez. You're not going to walk the go-ahead run on first base. But Fernandez has been nothing but trouble for the Phillies. 9 RBIs. That's already more than any other shortstop in World Series history.
Tony is 0 for 3 tonight. Griffin representing the tying run at second. 2 outs. Bottom of the 8th, 6-5 Philadelphia. Chopped slowly down the first base line. Foul ball. It hit Fernandez.
The other night, Darren Daulton was hit with the bases loaded in that 15-14 game, hit in the hand. And we said, if the umpire can't tell, usually he goes by the reaction of the hitter. And right here, you could see it just hit the right side of the shoe, looked like the right side of the foot, and the reaction was immediate. No, it did not hit him. No, it didn't.
I think Fernandez stole the call by his instant reaction.
Or did it hit his shin passing by? Did it hit his shin before it hit the ground? That's the only way that it could have from that angle.
Well, it did. You would have thought the ball would have changed direction. Turned out toward the field.
Well, something happened that was funky. It may have hit a piece of dirt or something, but that ball didn't come off the bat and the ground like it normally would. But I think the reaction of Fernandez is about the only thing, if you're unsure, that's the only thing you can go on. Because if a player is hit, they react that way.
And the Phillies did not argue. 1-1, the count on Fernandez. He started to step out, then stepped back in toward the pitch and watched ball 2 sink low and away. Anderson, who didn't have a save during the regular season, then wound up saving Game 5 in the NLCS against Atlanta. Admitted that he was shaking like a leaf on the mound. Was so excited after the game that he grabbed the lineup card to keep as a souvenir. Check swing and a foul ball. Alfredo Griffin running for John Olerud. The tying run at second base with 2 outs in the 8th inning. 6-5 Philadelphia. Anderson's 2-2 to Fernandez. Hit him. Fans boo, but certainly that's the last thing Anderson wanted to do was put the go-ahead run on base, particularly when he had 2 strikes on Fernandez.
Trying to come inside on Tony, and the ball got away from Anderson. Looks like it hit him right on the back of the left knee. So it appeared to hit fatty tissue. That's a lot better than hitting bone.
Blue Jays trainer Tommy Craig out to 10 to Tony Fernandez. That'll bring up Ed Sprague.
Alfredo Griffin's already in the game. I mean, he could play shortstop if Fernandez leaves. I think Tony's going to be all right. But then who plays first base? Ed Sprague, the third baseman, has not played first base this year.
Sprague did play 26 games at first base over 1991 and 92. Of course, Paul Molitor's played there, but he's the DH, so if they put him in the field, they'd lose the DH. Darnell Coles has played only 1 inning at first base this year. So Sprague is the likeliest candidate to move over there. And Fernandez will stay in the game.
Unless it's Griffin, with the thinking being that he's a terrific infielder, and if you can play short, you can play first.
Sprague has only 1 hit in 15 at-bats in this World Series. He did drive in a run in the 4th inning tonight with a sacrifice fly to right. A ball low and away. 2-0 on Sprague.
Ed Sprague, more than any other Blue Jay, is a high fastball hitter. He likes the ball inside, and Larry Anderson, to be effective, has a lane on the outside part of the plate. He's missed there twice. Don't expect him to come in now unless it's a mistake.
He goes away, and Sprague swung through it for strike 1. 2 balls and a strike. The end of the bat, a foul ball. Again, Anderson stayed away from Sprague. 2-2 the count.
If you're the hitter right here, if you're Ed Sprague, you forget about the inside part of the plate. You have to protect away anyway with 2 strikes. And Anderson has shown that he's going to go out there, even at the expense of getting hit. You dive out over the outside part of the plate looking for the ball away.
Anderson is facing his 3rd batter. Seems like he's been out there for a week. For Larry, it probably feels like a month. The 2-2. Pop foul and out of play. It looked like Anderson got away with missing the target that time. That pitch more or less down the middle.
Backed up. Sometimes you grip that slider too tightly and your hand comes underneath and it just spins in there. That's what happened then.
the Phillies lead 6-5 in the 8th inning. The Blue Jays have the tying run at second, the go-ahead run at first with 2 outs, and a 2-2 to Sprague. He fouled away another. Anderson, in working to his 3rd batter, has already thrown 21 pitches. Another 2-2 pitch and another foul ball.
That's 7 in a row, intended or outside. The only one that he has missed with over the middle of the plate was the one that you mentioned, Sean, that first 2-2 pitch. Splitter here
for ball 3. And an advantage for the Blue Jays is now the runners will get a jump on the 3-2 pitch with 2 outs. The payoff pitch. Outside, ball 4. Johnny Padres, the pitching coach, on his way to the mound. Sprague with the hard-earned walk. He was up there for 9 pitches. That puts the tying run at 3rd. The go-ahead run now in scoring position at 2nd, and Sprague is at 1st. And Mitch Williams is warming up in the Philadelphia bullpen.
That was really a great at-bat by Ed Sprague. He fouled off a lot of tough sliders from Larry Anderson and coaxed a walk.
It's the right-handed hitting Pat Borders duo, so Anderson will continue. Borders has only driven in 1 run in this World Series. He was the most valuable player of the World Series last year. He's 2 for 3 tonight with a couple of singles. Ball 1 outside. Good pitch by Anderson, and using that slot over the outside part of the plate to right-handed hitter. The 1-1. Popped up out of play. Bases loaded. Griffin the tying run at 3rd. Fernandez the go-ahead run at 2nd. And Ed Sprague at 1st. Against Larry Anderson, who took 9.5 years in the minors to establish himself as a full-time Major League player at age 30. He admitted there were many times over that stretch he thought about quitting baseball, and vowed from that day forward to enjoy every aspect of Major League Baseball. He couldn't be in a more memorable situation than this. The 1-2 to Borders is a pop-up. Mickey Morandini wants it, and he makes the catch. And Toronto leaves the bases loaded in the 8th inning. We go to the 9th. It's still a 1-run lead for Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Phillies needing a win to stay alive and force a Game 7 in this World Series. Lead 6-5 as we go to the 9th. They just dodged a bullet in the bottom of the 8th as Toronto left the bases loaded. Ed Sprague moves across the diamond. He's now at first base, a position he did not play at all this year. Alfredo Griffin remains in the game at third base. And Cito Gaston, in his desire to keep it a one-run deficit into the bottom of the 9th, has gone to his ace closer, Dwayne Ward. He's appearing for the 4th time in 6 games, and he's greeted by Dave Hollins. Hollins had a huge hit in the 7th. The single that drove in the tying run, and he scored the go-ahead run on a sacrifice fly by Pete Incaviglia. Ward, the 4th pitcher of the night for Toronto. This is a swing and a miss from Hollins. That was 94 miles per hour, Dwayne Ward. Hollins, then Dalton, and Eisenreich. In the air in right center, Carter a long run. White is there, and he makes the catch. Another good outing tonight for Al Leiter. He pitched an inning and 2/3 without allowing a hit or a run. He walked 1 and struck out 2. Aaron Dalton is the batter. Pitchers of record, Roger Mason and Danny Cox. 1-0 on Dalton. He's 1 for 3 with a double and a run scored. He's also walked tonight. Sharply hit, but right at Alomar. 2 down. The Blue Jays have the top of the order coming up. Henderson, White, and Molitor in the bottom of the 9th.
Watch how Alomar gives with the body and the glove to soften the hop and throw out Dalton.
Jim Eisenreich, the batter. Little pop-up. It will be close. Griffin runs out of room. Jim Fregosi has said several times in this postseason, as a manager, you don't do things differently in postseason play. You manage the way you did in the regular season. And during the regular season, in an instance like this, it's a 1-run game going to the bottom of the 9th. He hands the ball over to Mitch Williams. Given wild things, difficulties, will be given the ball in the bottom of the 9th tonight.
Well, you could see him in your monitor. I think with Ricky Henderson coming up, I think Larry Anderson will be called on to get out Henderson. We'll see.
Indeed we will. Ward did his job, a 1-2-3 9th. Last chance for Toronto coming up. A 1-run lead for Philadelphia as we go to the bottom of the 9th, and the question posed in the top of the 9th has been answered. Jim Fregosi will manage as he did during the regular season, and he'll give the ball to Mitch Williams to try to get the final 3 outs and force a Game 7.
Remember that old television series, Get Smart, with Don Adams. The great line in that was, right, 99. Well, Jim Fregosi getting smart and calling in number 99 again. 43 saves this year. It was not a clear-cut thing. I mean, the last time out, Mitch Williams was laced all over Veterans Stadium. And this is his first appearance since Wednesday night.
And he was not warming up with the score 2-0 in favor of Philadelphia in the late innings the other night. Perhaps it's only fitting that in a game like this, no matter which team wins, that Mitch Williams and Tim Batiste will appear in the ball game. They've been a familiar duo in the postseason. There hasn't been a dull moment yet when those two have been in the ball game. Concern about Williams lately from the Phillies standpoint has been his velocity. It has been down in his last couple of outings. Top of the order, Ricky Henderson, Devon White, and Paul Molitor. The Blue Jays need a run to force extra innings. 2 runs and they're the world champion. the theater of the bizarre involving Mitch Williams in the postseason. Before he can even throw a pitch in the bottom of the ninth, Henderson and the umpire step out.
Look at Darren Dalton. He's clearing the way, too. Everybody is just moving out of the way, including you folks in your living room.
Right. Now you can see the move that Mitch could have hit one of them at home. His first pitch, a ball. Henderson 0 for 3.
John, I think one of the things, that lack of velocity you were talking about, that's what happens when Williams opens that front side too quickly. Right there. When you open that front side, you have a tendency to push the ball. And one thing that would help Mitch right now is try to keep the front shoulder closed.
Mitch last appeared in Game 4 and gave up the runs that lost the ball game in the 15-14 Toronto win. He appeared in the 8th inning and was charged with 3 runs. Henderson got to him for a 2-run single in that inning that brought Toronto within 1. The 2-0 pitch. Ball 3 high. Ball 4. Williams walks Henderson on 4 pitches to open the 9th.
It is said that television's a visual medium, but not in Philadelphia tonight because nobody's watching.
The tying run is at first. The go-ahead run, the winning run, the run that would win the World Championship, comes to the plate in the person of Devon White, who had the 2-run triple at the expense of Mitch Williams that won Game 4, 15-14. That's the first strike thrown by Williams. Any thoughts of a bunt by Cito Gaston in this instance?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a possibility.
Matisse even with the bag at third. White sacrificed 3 times this year. Of course, you have Henderson, the all-time stolen base king, at first base. Ricky's only stolen 1 in this World Series. He's been thrown out once.
Thing to watch if you're going to steal against Mitch Williams is whether the right foot passes the left leg. Once he does that, it's committed to go home. That's that Terry Mulholland step-off move that Williams will use. But once he picks his leg up and commits going home, what the runner watches for is whether the right foot passes the left leg. Slide step to combat it.
1-1 the count. (6-5) Philadelphia in the bottom of the 9th. Up and away, 2-1 the count.
See, now Ricky Henderson has taken Williams out of his game. I mean, he's not a pitcher that can use the slide step. So he's been high. He has been high with the fastball because of this move toward home. See, that's very unusual and unorthodox for Mitch Williams. That is the move where he picks the leg up, but once he does that, Henderson may run.
To the plate comes Williams. Foul ball by White. 2-2 the count. Paul Molitor is on deck. If you're just joining us, the Blue Jays jumped off to a 3-0 lead in the first inning. They led 4-1 after 4, and then the Phillies scored 5 times in the 7th to take a 6-5 lead. There's not been any scoring in the game since then, despite opportunities on both sides. Henderson at first, nobody out. 2-2 to White, foul ball.
That was another slide step, a slider inside to White. But keep in mind, when he does that, his pitches aren't nearly as effective. He is a power pitcher and relies on the high leg kick.
Pulled sharply foul. Another 2-2 pitch. Another slide step. And another foul ball from Devon White.
Got Kim Batiste on the line at third. If White hits the ball into the position, a double play gets him out of trouble. It's 2 out, nobody on. I think what he's protecting against here is second and third and nobody out. And I think the odds are now to play the fat part of the field and forget about the line. I mean, what are the chances if Ricky Henderson gets on third with nobody out? Could probably score.
And now Williams is in danger of walking White. The 3-2 pitch. In the air, left center field. Incaviglia makes the running catch. He and Dykstra had an anxious moment as they looked at each other. It looked like Incaviglia thought Dykstra was going to take charge, and apparently Dykstra didn't see the ball because Incaviglia picked it back up and made the play.
Dykstra did not see the ball. You can see him look at Incaviglia right there. And Incaviglia saw it all the way and properly made the catch.
For the first out of the ninth, 6-5 Philadelphia. Paul Molitor, 2 for 4 tonight. An RBI triple and a run scored in the first, a solo home run in the fifth. Ricky Henderson at first with 1 out. Paul Molitor, the first player in World Series history with 2 doubles, 2 triples, and 2 home runs in 1 World Series. Fouled away, 1 ball and 1 strike. The 2 pitches to Molitor, both clocked at 91 miles per hour. And apparently the velocity has returned to Mitch Williams, who was clocked in the mid-80s in his last appearance in Game 4. Line to center, falling fast, a hit. Third of the night for Molitor. Henderson stops at second.
Paul Molitor has been a hitting machine in this series. His 12th hit. He is now 12 for 23 in the series. And Ricky Henderson has to stop at second because the ball was hit so hard.
And he had to make sure it would sink fast enough to fall in front of Dykstra. So the tying run is at second. The run that would win the World Series is at first, and Joe Carter is the batter. He's 0 for 3 tonight, 0 for 4 lifetime against Williams. Joe drove in a run in the first with a sacrifice fly tonight.
I'm sure Ricky Henderson at second base is thinking about Game 2, 8th inning. with the Blue Jays trailing by 2. Mitch Williams with that trick move and nailing Alomar at third.
Morandini playing very close to the bag, trying to keep Henderson close to second. Williams has fallen behind Carter 2-0. Alfredo Griffin, who entered the game last inning as a pinch runner for Olerud, is on deck, and there's that move by Williams. Rickey wasn't more than 3 or 4 steps away from second. There's Griffin. And there's a strike. 2-1 on Carter. Carter is 0 for his last 7. And he swung at ball 3. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
That was a flat-footed strike at Joe Carter, a flat-footed swing that he took at that slider from Mitch Williams. Looked awkward, didn't he?
Now the 2-2. Well hit down the left field line. Way back in. Joe Carter with a 3-run homer. The winners and still world champions, the Toronto Blue Jays. A world champion for the first time, and Cito Gaston said, in particular, he wanted the Blue Jays to repeat to win it for Paul Molitor. And obviously, Gaston was speaking for the rest of the Blue Jays as well. Joe Carter with the 3-run homer to win it before the World Series. When we asked him how close he was to leaving by a free agency after last year's World Championship to go to Kansas City, he held his thumb and forefinger about 1/8 of an inch apart and said, "This close." But he stayed, and his home run has given the Toronto Blue Jays their second World Championship in as many years. It's only the second time ever that a World Series has ended on a home run. The other, the memorable home run by Bill Mazeroski of the Pirates in 1960. And a heartbreaking end to the season for the Philadelphia Phillies. Carter didn't quite hit it all the way to that sign, but it had enough to clear the fence and left. His second home run of the World Series to give Toronto the 8-6 win. He knew when he hit it that it had a chance, and he knew before he reached first base that he was a hero all across Canada. An incredible ending to a postseason that had many remarkable and memorable moments. And for the first time ever, the Toronto Blue Jays have won the World Series on Canadian soil. Congratulations to the '93 World Champions.